In this example, we'll see how to factor trinomials x squared plus bx plus c when the coefficient in the middle is a negative number and the constant is positive. So, like in this case, x squared minus 11x plus 18, that negative 11 is less than 0 or negative, and the 18 is positive. So, what we do in this case is, since the multiplication or product is supposed to be positive and the sum is supposed to be a negative number, we just gotta check for negative factors. So in this case, negative 1 and negative 18, negative 2 and negative 9. We could also try negative 3 and negative 6, but when we add those two, we do not get negative 11. So in this case, um, you found the correct sum once you see that negative 2 plus negative 9 equals negative 11. If you happen not to find it so fast, then you will continue examining negative 3 and negative 6 and so on and so forth. Notice that they start like the the factor 1, of course in this case negative, and then 2, the next one would be 3 and 6, and then 6 and 3. But the important thing to notice is that you're just checking the negative ones, and it's also good to keep those factors in order. So by doing the same process we did before, we can tell that this can be factored as x minus 2, which is this number here, and x minus 9 using the next number that we found, because that is the correct sum. So the checking will be by multiplication. We know how to multiply it, and if we multiply those two, we actually get x squared minus 11x plus 18. So that means that our factorization is correct. So let's check and see if we can do these couple of examples. As always, please pause the video and check the answer. Give yourself 3 or 4 minutes, see what you can get, and then check the answer. And let's check and see example number 3, and maybe hopefully example number 4. So example number 3, it says, well, now what if the number c, or the constant in the trinomial, is a negative number? So we'll see what to do. So I know that my multiplication or product is supposed to be negative, so my factors need to have different signs, opposite signs. So if one is positive, then one will be negative, and vice versa. So if we start with 1, 1 times negative 6 equals negative 6. And when we add those two, we get negative 5, which is not what we need. We need positive 5 in the middle. So if we keep trying, negative 1 and 6, notice how we are now swapping the signs. Negative 1 and 6, the product will be still negative 6, but the sum is positive 5. So I can factor that trinomial saying that equals to x minus 1 and then x plus 6. And if we use multiplication, then we can check that it is correct. We will learn in class a different way to get the same factorization. That is actually something that some people might find easier and involves less guessing, I guess, because you don't have to actually find the factors. Example number, well, maybe let's try first the triads. So by now you'll be used to pause the video at this point, and once you get an answer, make sure that you compare to the correct answer. Notice that negative 7 times 2 is negative 14, and negative 7 plus 2 equals negative 5. And for the next one, you got x plus 2 times x minus 2. So that's how you can factor those two examples. In example number 4, all they are saying is that even if you have more than one variable, sometimes you can use the same kind of reasoning. So let's just start by multiplying. When you multiply x plus 2 times x plus 4y, you can actually think of this as a, like 2y is a number, x plus a times x plus b. So the important thing is the first terms in each binomial are the same, and the second terms are different. But as you can tell from the answer, the last answer that you get here is the multiplication of those two numbers, so 2y times 4y. So it follows the same pattern that we had before with numbers, and then the sum 4y plus 2y equals 6y, and you can see the 6 right here and the y. Of course, before we had b times x, but now we've got that 6y instead, but still we still have that x there. Same thing that happens with the second one, same thing happens with the third one. So those trinomials that you see on the right are of the same structure. So they have like x squared plus bx, so those are the variables that we had before, and the multiplication of b times y, that's my new, you could think of capital B, and the cy squared, you can think of that as the capital C. So actually same structure as before. So that suggests that we can factor something like this by looking for two numbers whose product is 24 and whose sum is 10. We will just make sure at the end we'll put the y in both factors. So we solved, as if we had no y squared, and we will add the y at the end. So if you imagine this just being 24 and forgetting about the y, so you do the process and you find the numbers 4 and 6, but then now you realize that this is y to the second power, so you throw in the y in each factor, and that's how you complete your multiplication or your factorization better. If you go backwards trying to multiply it and to check your answer, in fact, it works. So now let's do the same thing here. Pause the video, try that one, check the answer. Again, probably the easiest way is to ignore the y in the second term and the third term. Do it as you do the other ones, as you know how to do the other ones, and then at the end, throw in the y for each factor. That's probably the easiest way to think of it. Now try to do this one right here. And if you have questions, please don't forget to get those ready for me to answer in class. Okay, so let's leave right now, and I'm hoping to see you guys asking questions.